At the end of Dahlia season, I get always asked a lot of questions from you guys across my socials if I could share some tips and tricks on how to divide Dahlia tubers. So this video is for you. Today I'm showing you my entire process on lifting them, washing them, dividing them, and in the end how I store them, all in hopefully 10 minutes. That's at least what we try to attempt here. So let's get going. I'm Steffi, I'm a home gardener here in Attleboro, Massachusetts, zone 6, and I love to grow dahlias. I'm so happy to have you here on my channel. So welcome to my channel and let's get going. Let's start digging here. So what I typically use for digging is a broad fork because that helps to protect your tubers, to not like chop them off like you could with a shovel or a spade. So you have a better chance to keep your tubers safe when you use that. And that has worked well for me in the past. I always love to use that. So let's go and dig some tubers. You can see here I have all my tubers flagged with the label by variety. And what we're going to do is we'll start about a foot away from a clump just to be safe. Go in there, shove it in, and then just be carefully inching closer to the point that we will see the tubers start to lift. So what's important is to be careful here with the tubers, with the tuber clump. You don't want to just yank it up on the stem because that could hurt your tubers in the end and rip them off and break necks and stuff. So I'll just remove some soil from the top, and you see here already a few poking out. And then we'll just try to really get under it. And that's the moment here you can see all the soil around starting to lift. That is typically when you have a good grip. Remove excess soil on the top and then carefully lifting it up, shaking it off. And there we have a really, really nice tuber clump, which also doesn't have that much soil. And washing is next. We'll clear off all the soil to really make it clean so that we're able to see the eyes on the top where we want to divide the tubers next. Before we start dividing here, one thing which is really important is to understand what a quality tuber is made of, or what parts consist in a quality tuber. The body has to be there. It doesn't have to be as big of a body. Size is not that important for a tuber, just that it's a good body. The neck then, the neck is a key part here. If that is broken or wobbly, I wouldn't necessarily save the tuber. And then the most important part, the crown on top of it, needs to have a growth point. Do you see here that little point over here? I'll try to zoom in on the footage as well. This is the key. That is where the plant next spring grows out of. So if you have a tuber which has a great body, great neck, but no growth point, it won't grow anything next year. So that's important to understand when we start dividing, because we're looking for nice tubers, but we most importantly look that every tuber has an eye on top of it, otherwise it won't grow a viable plant. What is important to good tuber dividing? Really, really sharp snips. I have here a variety. Everything what I use is going to be linked as usual in the description below. A good cutting board. A cheap one is perfectly fine, but one which doesn't slip or anything. And then cleaning supplies. You know how important it is to have clean shears, clean surfaces, to not like distribute problems from one set of tubers to the next. That is why I clean my shears between each clump and the cutting board before I move to the next one. All right, so when we start dividing, it's also important to know that you can't save them all. Just not possible, and it's not in the matter of the thing. So what I typically look and what I do first is to get rid of all the noise, like all the roots and everything. Don't be scared to cut a little bit into the bottom of the tuber. This will heal over and will be perfectly fine, but let's get rid of the noise first. And any type of tubers here which are broken in the neck, don't even try to save it. Don't waste your time on those ones. Your resources are too important for that. So that is already a lot easier. When we look here, you see this tuber looks a little bit different than all the other ones. This is the mother tuber. That is the tuber who actually grew the plant. Some people save it. I don't, because I found that they are just more likely to rot. They're tired. They've done their job. It's now up to the kids, right? So I save all the new fresh tubers. And then when we start looking, you can see here, I have growth points. And now I'll try to find good tubers around them and try to just start cutting them out. So over here, we have a nice body, neck, and a bunch of nice little growth points here. So I'll definitely try to give that one, and then I'll try to give that tuber a couple of this one here too. And then I just start cutting. There we go. Really great tuber with some eyes on it. Park that by the side. And that is how I go about. Here I have more growth points. There's more growth points. What I did was last week cutting the plants down and leaving them a week in the ground, so the growth points were all like jiggling up still. So that really helped to just see where they are. And now I'm trying to just... Now this one has still here 1 and 2. This one has here 1, 2. And that is how you go about the entire clump. And again, you can't save them all. So try your best and try to see where you have the best tubers, which you think are the best for storage. That is really nice one. Skinny neck, but sturdy neck. And then you go about here. That is one which is already not great anymore. Sometimes you have some eyes left, but no quality tubers around. That happens. Oh, here are a couple more good ones. And this is how you go about them until you're done. So those ones here, this is a typical like yield out of 1 tuber clump, like 5 really high quality tubers. Again, you can try to save more if you feel like it. I only save the high quality tubers. What you now got to do is to let them just dry over a little bit so that all of those like wet cuts heal over. This usually takes 24 hours. If you had bigger cuts, sometimes a little bit longer, but 24 hours is typically what I wait mine for. And I actually had yesterday some which are already cut. So prepared something. Those ones are, as you can tell here, already dried over. So those ones are ready for wrapping. And what we do here for storage is we give them in quick label on the tuber. It's my seedling number 1. So I have like for every tuber like just a little abbreviation on how I mark them. That is just important for in case any other label fails, you still are able to separate them by the tuber. What I do for the storage is I use cling wrap. This is the plastic wrap method. You know, there are plenty other methods as well, but this is the one which worked for me in the past years by far the best. I have 95% storage success with this method. And it's also, from my perspective, the easiest one if you don't swim in tubers, right? No farm would do that, but a home gardener with like, I don't know, like up to 200, 300 tubers, I think that's still feasible. That's usually my yield. So what you do is you take some wrap and you take those tubers and then just literally start wrapping them. And I, depending on the size of the tubers, I usually do like clumps of like 3. Just keep on going here. Just like this. And then they get one more label, sticky label on them as well. And those go into a dark, cool place, ideally below 50 degrees for the winter. What is important is they need to really stick in a consistent temperature so that it's not like swinging in temperatures, because that will cause condensation in the plastic wrap and that will ultimately cause mold in your tubers. But the other great thing with that method is if you have problems with a tuber of rot, of mold or so, it is contained to just this little bundle and doesn't affect all the other ones. So it's a really, really great option to just keep problems small and hedging your bets. And again, this has worked so well for me in the past years. This is what I do constantly. And the last word of advice here too for the process is only dig up as many as you can process in the next 24 to 48 hours, because those tubers are going to shrivel for you under you super fast if you don't wrap them today or tomorrow at the very latest. And from the moment they start shriveling, their viability to grow new plants next year will be drastically reduced. So with that, I hope this video was interesting to you. I hope it answered a lot of questions. If you still have questions, put them below, and then otherwise subscribe and watch another video. Thank you.